the time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end, and I want to spring that on the directors effectively and then give that as my recommendation. I think they'll be unanimously in favor of it, and that would mean that at year end, Greg would be the chief executive officer of Berkshire.
You know, usually people say, I don't want to spring that on you. But he said, I want to spring this on you. It was a surprise. After 60 years during which Berkshire Hathaway stock returned roughly 5.5 million%, Warren Buffett has decided it was time to announce he will step down as CEO and pass the reins to Greg Abel, the company's vice chair of non-insurance operations. Again, even Greg was surprised, apparently. Team Claman Countdown has followed Buffett and his crew for nearly 2 decades. And had you been following us, you shouldn't have been surprised. My first interview with Abel, then head of Berkshire Hathaway Energy, was exactly 7 years ago to the day. OK, that was him. And, of course, Jim Weber, the former CEO of Brooks Running, at their Berkshire 5K race. A few days later, I just thought about this. I tweeted my prediction that I saw the big hint because the running number on his shirt was 1. Greg Abel was wearing the number 1. So I said, you know what? He's going to be the possible successor. That was then. And then, as I said in 2018, I am telling you guys right here, right now, that unless some unseen situation occurs, this is the tweet, Greg Abel, who is handling his Berkshire meeting appearance intelligently, deftly, and in a relaxed way, will be the next CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, so how do all the companies in the Berkshire portfolio feel about the new boss and about the old boss leaving? Joining us now to answer that question in a Fox Business exclusive is the CEO of Berkshire subsidiary Brooks Running, Dan Sheridan, live from the company's headquarters in Seattle. Well, I won't say meet the new boss, same as the old boss, because Greg Abel is different from Warren Buffett, and Warren's staying around as chairman even after the end of the year, right? So I want to know exactly where you were sitting when Warren Buffett said that at the meeting and what you thought.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me. It was an incredible weekend, obviously, with the end of the announcement. And I was in the arena. You could hear a pin drop. And then the crowd just immediately shifted into gratitude and standing ovation, probably 5 minutes long. You knew history was happening. And what a weekend for all of us that was able to experience Warren's announcement.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. But leading up to that, there were so many other things he was talking about. And we'll get to Greg Abel in just a minute. But the points that he made about tariffs, and he has made no bones about it. He thinks tariffs are an act of war. He is against them. He thinks that they're a mess. But, I mean, I thought it was interesting. He kind of doubled down on that. And that is something that is very much in your purview right now, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. I think any global business, and Brooks is a global business, we sell in over 55 countries around the world. We have offices in some 15, 16 countries around the world. So global trade is a very big deal to Brooks. And we've been, planning for tariff increases really since the election. And so we've gone to work on it. And, for us, it's a full value chain plan that we're attacking here. It's not just going to be price increases. We're going to look at the entire value chain here to be measured because we don't know where these tariffs are going to go, and we don't want to overreact in a time when there's uncertainty.
Well, when you look at the global presence, you have more than 200 factories around the world, more than 70 of which are in China. China is very much at the tip of the spear when it comes to the argument between Donald Trump, Xi Jinping, China, United States. Is it not? Are you a little concerned about that exposure there?
Yeah, we've been working really hard over the last 5 years to actually shift our supply chain out of China. And predominantly now we're in Vietnam and Indonesia. And those countries have had high tariffs since 1930, really. And so these additional 10% that's on top of the 20% that we already have is a math problem for us. And so we're going to work to solve the math problem. In that is diversifying your supply chain, having agility and resiliency across the supply chain to really mitigate any of these shocks that come. And so we're doing that. We've had a lot of great work already in the last 5 years, and we'll continue to do that as this global trade evolves.
Dan, is it going to be a math problem for your customers, your faithful who, I mean, people buy Brooks running shoes and then they never leave them. It works that way for a lot of other running shoes. People get comfortable with a certain one, but are you raising prices?
Yeah, we'll have to take some small price increases initially here. But again, Liz, I'll just reinforce that we're trying to be measured here, and we don't want to punish the consumer or the user of our product for what we think is uncertain times. So this measured approach will have price increases to the tune of 2.5% to 3%. But we're going to go to work on the entire supply chain to try and get optimization in our system so that, we can look at costs and efficiency as well. We're in a unique spot. We're having great growth. We're the leader in performance run. So there are places where we can raise prices without affecting demand of our product globally.
Well, have you talked about it with Greg Abel, the soon-to-be CEO? He is the genius when it comes to operating businesses, and I would imagine that he'd be a good person to at least discuss it with, especially considering that you don't just manufacture in Asia and, quite frankly, South America too, but you saw a huge jump. Your earnings recently, first quarter, showed 221% annual revenue growth in Asia Pacific and Latin America. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's a huge jump there. Clearly, you're doing something right. What do you think Abel can help you with here?
Yeah, well, I think all throughout the entire weekend at Berkshire, obviously tariffs was the conversation. And I had a short amount of time with Greg, not a lot of time with him as he was busy. But we've updated Greg through this process that we've gone through to mitigate the tariffs. And he's given us a lot of advice over the years. He always tells us to focus on the customer, and we're doing that now. So we're looking at all the markets we compete in, making sure we're pitch perfect on the programs and the products and the pricing for all of our markets, and we'll continue to do that, and Greg's supportive of that. Okay, so the big question, I know at every shareholder meeting since Brooks really got their footing, they've stamped a picture of Warren's face on the inside of the shoe pad. Are you going to put Greg Abel's face on the shoes? To be determined. I think we do what's right to sell the most amount of product. We sold over 2,000 pairs of shoes at the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. We were up 20% year over year. So it was a great sales event for us, and obviously we'll continue to be engaged in the meeting. Well, I do know from talking to Greg that he wouldn't mind, I think, if you put a Canadian maple leaf on some of those shoes, nor would I as a dual citizen of Canada and the U.S. Dan, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.